Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special edition of the One True Podcast. I'm Andrew Rapazy. For years now, oh my
Wait,
god, Brian.
hey, read the one part I wrote.
And I'm a poo-poo-headed bisbaby. Brian wrote this. For years now, there's been a massive debate over a little independent film called Spider-Man 3. People have argued for centuries over whether or not this film is any good. And now, on this special episode of the One True Podcast, hosted by yours truly, we shall settle this matter once and for all. We have 4 contestants. Brian broke up into 2 teams. The Pro Spider-Man 3ers, composed of Brian Wachowski and Alex DeGeneiro.
That is so not my last name.
And the Anti-Spider-Man 3ers, composed of Alex Town and Patrick Graylis. Both teams will debate the story, the characters, the action scenes, the music, and the overall meme quality of the film. I will be moderating the debate, and will give each team 2 minutes to defend their stance on a film subject. After each team gives their stance, I shall award whichever team a point depending on how well they argued their points. The team with the most points wins the debate, and my respect, which doesn't really mean much in the grand scheme of things, but hey, when you're working off a budget the size of my dick, you can take what you can get.
Very nice. I wrote that intro, by the way, in case that wasn't obvious.
Yeah. Let me put on my smart guy glasses.
You know that this is an audio podcast, though, right?
Shut up.
So, we'll begin with the Pro Spider-Man 3ers. So, I'm going to be in... would there like to be any consensus between Alex and Brian before we begin the 2 minutes?
No.
Okay, I'll go
Please
first.
not.
All right. I'm going to begin the timer.
What's the subtopic that we're talking about?
It should be the story.
Okay, the story.
If we're going in order, then yeah.
Yeah, we're going with the story first.
All right. So, I'm going to begin the timer right now.
Okay, so a lot of people argue that the story of Spider-Man 3 is filled with too many characters and too many subplots, but I find that they're all tied together by the common theme of forgiveness. And yeah, I know, you want forgiveness, get religion. Now, you have Sandman's arc of being able to forgive himself for what he did to Uncle Ben. You have Harry forgiving Peter for trying to kill him the entire film. And you have Peter learning to forgive himself for what he did to Sandman, Eddie, Harry, and MJ after the whole black suit fiasco. I find that they're all tied together under one common theme in the entire film. So while you may have a lot of different subplots and stories going on at the same time, I find that they're all relevant to the overall story and theme, like being told, which I find that they're not, it's not so overall like jarring in the story. So that's my take on that.
Yeah, going off from that, I definitely feel the story. The story nicely balances each interarching subplot going on in there. It was starting with the beginning of Sandman, and then eventually ending with Sandman as actually the last thing in the film, and then of course all the unevenness of what goes on. Overall, I think the story it in my opinion, it gets too much hate for what it's worth. I mean, if you look at it from a different standpoint, it's actually phenomenal what they could fit in roughly 2.5 to 3 hours. So, I mean, even James Cameron couldn't do that with Avatar, and it was just about blue people just trying to save a forest.
All right, that is time.
Checkmate, losers. I'm kidding.
Hey, no. Wow.
Hey, I played
Yeah.
checkers.
I'm sorry.
Part's easy for me.
Brian, we're going to lose the fucking point because you won't get your shit.
So, now we're going to go with the Anti-Spider-Man 3ers.
Alex, would you like to go first, or
No thank you. You may go first, Patrick.
All right, I will begin the timer right now.
Okay, so like you mentioned, the film has multiple stories going on, multiple consecutive subplots going on. My issue is the fact that any of these subplots could fill an entire movie. These are very important aspects to Peter's whole arc throughout the series. You have finding Uncle Ben's killer, you have fighting and reconciling his relationship with Harry, and then of course you have the alien symbiote, which I think went on for, God, I'd like to say 5 years in the comics. So the fact that they combine all these plot points together is just an absolute disservice to the character as a whole. There's too much going on for it to really be all too investing. It's just whiplash. You get to one place to another place, and it should have really just been separated. That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, there's a huge lack of focus when it comes to the villains in the story. It tries to handle too much at once, and the cheesy lines of like, I like to be bad because I'm bad. That wasn't executed too well in terms of story.
Okay, so we're gonna end that there. Is there gonna be a rebuttal, or shall we move on to the characters?
Well, out of that, you have to pick which argument you liked the most, and the
Which
one that
argument?
you felt was the strongest, Andrew. So it's
Well,
really
I've
up
never,
to you.
I've never seen the films.
It doesn't matter though. I
You've
mean,
never seen the Spider-Man films?
all
I
right,
thought we
let me
did.
tell
I
you,
thought
buddy.
we saw it together.
Well, that's why I wanted you
So
to
how
be
would I be able to know?
the unbiased moderator. So who do you feel out of that had the strongest argument? Me and Alex, or Patrick and Alex? Oh, fuck, we're fucking two Alexes again.
I wasn't paying attention fully.
You
to
weren't paying attention?
You weren't paying. They're a moderator.
Andrew! All right, we'll give it to them.
Yeah.
Fine, we'll give it to them.
Story wasn't even my strong suit, so whatever.
The next thing is characters. Who shall begin first?
I think the anti should go first.
Yeah, I'll give it to those guys. I'll give it to the black-suited people. I'll give it to Emo Peter.
Oh, okay, then we're going into racism now.
No. I'm just saying you guys are like the Emo Peter. We're like the good Peter.
Actually, wouldn't you be the
but I
emo
like
Peters?
Emo Peter's
You would be
the
the emo
best.
Peter since you like Spider-Man 3.
That's a good point. Yeah, we're
You'd
okay.
be
We're Emo
shitty
Peter.
wrestling
See-
costume fighting Randy Savage.
That's a cute outfit.
Did your husband make it for you? Yes, in fact, my husband did. You?
Actually, yes, Spider-Man, and your homophobic comments are not valued here.
You're in the wrong side of history, Spider-Man.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much.
All right, the timer begins now.
Okay, so in terms of characters, most, if not every single one of them, are not executed correctly. So for Venom, he's just bad because he wants to be bad, and that's just not good story or character development. I mean, he said, "I like to be bad. It makes me happy." That's just not good character development. Now for Harry, he's actually okay. I mean, but there's too much going on for us to really even care. Now for Sandman, he also kind of goes through the same thing as Venom. I believe there was a line in there where he says, "I'm not a bad guy. I just had bad luck." That's also not that good.
Yeah, I kind of agree. The villains are a lot more cliche than they were in the original, and that's hilarious because Green Goblin is literally a comic book villain in the sense that he's over the top and shit. But the villains are not very well written here. Peter himself isn't very well written here. He's very self-centered and arrogant, which I guess makes sense, but more so in a way that just does not make a ton of sense. It's very over the top. Mary Jane's okay, but even then it's like you waited this long to give her a personality. So, and even then all she's doing is just yelling at Peter. And then he smacks the shit out of her and it's just like, okay, where the hell did that come from? Nothing in his character showed that he would do that, and it just comes right the fuck out of nowhere. And it's in a sense kind of a betrayal, all things considered. It's just something he would never do.
All right, that is time. So now we're gonna go over to the pro Spider-Man 3ers.
Alex, would you like to go first?
Yeah, I can go ahead and try. So, to begin, is the time started?
The beginning is now.
Okay. So starting with, obviously, you are very much wrong, however. Each character is written very specifically. For instance, the reason why the story begins with Sandman is because, again, like, he's not the overarching villain. None of them are. It's not until the final fight scene that we finally see, like, who the true colors are, and it's actually greed and power, which is the symbiote. That's the main villain, overarching over the entire subplot. And of course, it's just all the greed that builds up that makes all these characters in your eyes fall apart when in reality they build up to the story. Because again, Harry wants revenge for his father. we've known this for 2 other films that he wants revenge, and of course he's finally doing it now, even though he's on a snowboard. I think that's the one. This is the Green Goblin one, and it's just like, yeah, I understand his building. And then of course Peter, he's always like ever since the first movie, he wants revenge for Uncle Ben's death. So yeah, of course it's gonna come up now. I would say the only. Okay, Brian, go ahead.
Okay, so I would just want to back up on what Alex says. Yes, I do agree. What we're basically saying is that the themes of the film dictate a lot of what the characters are like saying and doing. And it makes sense because it's just the natural progression of where the trilogy is going. It makes sense for Peter to be an arrogant douche in this film because people have finally accepted him as Spider-Man, and his life is now basically perfect because he's like in love with the love of his life, so his judgment is clouded. And your whole argument about the characters being one-dimensional, I would argue that the villains in the previous 2 films were also one-dimensional. Green Goblin, being like, I just want to kill Spider-Man. And, Green Goblin is basically the same as Venom because they're both characters that are evil for the sake of being evil and they want to watch the world burn.
All
And
right,
I know
time.
you'll probably say Green Goblin was motivated to get money and power, or just power.
Hey, brother,
from
it's
his
time.
new
Time.
thing. Shit, I'm sorry.
All right. Thank you very much. So, rebuttal.
Well, the whole concept of someone being either one-dimensional or three-dimensional for a character is you could be 2 things at once. I mean, you could say for the Green Goblin, he has like 2 kind of like split personalities. Where he's a Green Goblin, and then when he's Osborn, and then in terms of like, I guess motives. Actually, I don't know where I'm going with this. Patrick, what do you want to tag in real quick with?
Well, the thing about the Green Goblin is the fact that, well, let's face it, he's criminally insane. That's kind of his whole point. So in a sense, yeah, he's one-dimensional because he's just completely on this manic high of being a psychopath. And I don't know what the hell you were going to say about Doc Ock, but whatever you were going to say, you're wrong, because that's a man who's been building his entire life to a particular moment of finding sustainable energy, and it's just been stripped from him. His goals, his wife, everything has been stripped from him, and now no matter what, he's going to finish it. In a sense, he is very well-rounded, and he arcs at the end when he decides that he'd rather die a hero than a monster, and he sacrifices himself.
Well, okay, to rebuttal off of that, are we allowed to do that? Wait, this is my debate, it's fine. Well, to rebuttal against that, I mean, Doc Ock, his personality is the same as every other villain, like cocky, arrogant, douchebag. Like, even though his motivation is more grounded, he's still like a psychopath who laughs at Spider-Man and puts him through all kinds of like nefarious traps and other shit, I mean, he's basically the same as Venom.
Are we talking Doc Ock from the second movie?
Yes, but what we're saying is that essentially all the villains are the same, and in that argument, Venom is a good character to fit for the rest of the trilogy.
So, given the idea that I have no idea what you guys are talking about, then I think I vote for Brian and Alex, because it seemed like it was more general cohesive. So, next up, we're going to go action scenes of Spider-Man 3. I guess we could go for the anti-Spider-Man 3ers.
Shouldn't it be the
Adams.
pro since we went
I
first
guess-
last?
Okay, yeah, sure. So, I will begin the timer now.
Okay, so the action scenes in 3 are the best in the whole trilogy, in my opinion. While 2 may have the train sequence, and that's cheating, people are forgetting about a lot of the action scenes in this film. Sure, there are a lot of villains, but because of their unique skill sets, we get a lot of varied fights in the film. The Peter and Harry fight at the beginning of the film is very energetic and fast-paced. You have any fight with Sandman that takes advantage of his abilities. Any of those are just like fun because of the way that he morphs in unique ways. The bare knuckle fight with Peter and Harry later in the film is very practical and grounded, and the fights with Venom have like this hint of horror to them because of his nature. Overall, I'd say that the action in Spider-Man 3 is very different from the rest of the films in their action because of how much variety is there.
Yeah, going off what Brian said, like there's so much variety with the different just action scenes that happen within just Spider-Man 3, because again, like in the end, there's like you're fighting against all the villains that have popped up throughout the entire film, and of course that's an epic culmination of all of them, and it ends in a great and motivating and just thrilling way to help keep everyone entertained. But of course, there's those little fight scenes and even like the conversations that threaten violence. It's like it just really keeps you on edge and just makes you wonder like how much more in depth are these fight scenes going, and just making the story pop out more and more memorable. Because I remember a good bunch of them, and they all seem well executed as a whole. And how much time I got left? Is it over?
18 seconds.
Yeah. In conclusion, the fight scenes definitely make the third one pop out the most, and it's probably the best Spider-Man we've seen so far. Not saying the new Spider-Man may be better, because I hear they're bringing back Tobey Maguire. So yeah, we'll see.
But that has nothing to do with anything.
No, it does, because it's the third of
All
the
right.
Tom Holland series. So we'll see if it tops that. But as of right now, this is the best third Spider-Man film.
Okay.
Wait a minute. What about the Dragons
So-
Challenge?
Yeah, exactly. Clap back, bitch.
Okay, so we're gonna go to the Spider-Man 3 now.
Anti-vaxxers.
Yeah, that's a debate for another time.
Okay, so the timer begins right now.
While I do agree that some of the fight scenes are very well executed, the main issue is that, first of all, there aren't nearly as much as there should be. I think there's maybe 4, something like that. And a lot of them are very, very, I don't know, they're just very overdone. I mean, how many times have you seen Peter falling down while punching someone? I think they do that like twice in this movie, and it's irritating. I don't like seeing that again. A lot of them are very, very just generic. I don't think that it has a lot of the same flair as the other two. Even the ones that people really like the one with New Goblin, that's not really a fight scene. It's more of a chase scene more than anything else. And even then, I don't know, he kind of goes out like a bitch.
Not only does not having enough fight scenes kind of bog down the pacing a bit, to keep some of the action up, but I mean, even though they were all, I would say, well choreographed, the meaning behind them isn't as strong in terms of like when you in conjunction with the story, like, and also just how they intercut them with really cheesy lines like "Good riddance" at the end of the Sandman one, with when they're in the sewers or wherever that may be. And like when Harry and Peter are, having some dialogue when they're trying to get on his snowboard during the Sandman versus Venom fight. And also the fight at the very end with Venom and Spider-Man, you have more cheesy lines, and they mostly just get ruined for me.
Is there any rebuttal in the first place?
More like a asshole.
Oh!
It's a shame we don't have visuals. No, I mean, well, you're not just thinking in terms of like not just fight scenes, but also just action scenes. I mean, you also have that Peter trying to like save Gwen moment. That's an important action sequence, despite the fact that it's not really a fight. So you have like a lot of stuff like that. I mean, sure, there's like 4 fights between actual, characters, but every 10 minutes there's at least something action related going on. So I would say that it at least helps the pacing a bit. And there's nothing wrong with the "good riddance" line. That was the way that Tobey Maguire said that was threatening. All right, that was like the way that he said that was so good, and just how he, it's just how he. Look, emo Peter is really cool. Okay, and I would definitely be him for Halloween if I were still 12. But that's just me though. Maybe strike that from the record. But I don't know.
First of all, Bryce Dallas Howard, who plays Gwen Stacy, super hot.
Well, yeah, okay. But it's not a...
Shut up, Brian!
We're not supposed to be agreeing, but I do agree with you there.
Second of all, even that scene, it's been done before. I mean, they did that with the bridge scene in Spider-Man 1. What new is there to really show?
Oh, and I think my favorite fight scene is when I think it was between Peter Parker and MJ. Oh, he just rocks her.
Jesus Christ. No. Oh, God.
Oh, yeah. Oh, here's another fucking rebuttal. If you're talking about action scenes, what about the dance sequence? Does that count?
No, but
Yes, it does.
actually, does
Yes,
it?
it does. He is very action in that.
Well, in that case, that is the best action scene in the movie.
And there's another. And he says, "Now dig on this." So yeah,
And
that
that's exactly
adds to
why
Alex's
it's the best
point.
one.
That stupid
What's up,
line.
hot legs?
Oh yeah, that too.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like Chicago or Cabaret, but it's not Spider-Man.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure I'm going to give it to the anti-Spider-Man 3 here because you gave a lot more evidence to prove your point. It seemed like, I don't know.
Hell yes.
2 for
I don't
1,
know. This is...
bitch.
Yeah, I don't know. Up next is my least favorite part of any movie, the music. So we're going to go with, who are you going to go with first?
Yeah,
Anti?
Anti can go.
All right.
These calls hentai.
Alright.
Yeah, that's right. Team Hentai.
No, it's Team Big Dick.
We're Alex and I are
So-
Team Anal.
I would like to join your team.
Get out of here.
What the hell? Who am I supposed to team with then?
Join our team.
All right. The 2 minutes begins right now.
So yeah, in terms of music, it actually isn't bad, but in comparison to the first two, I don't think it has as great of an impact. The only music I could really remember from that movie is the transition between regular Spider-Man into Black Spider-Man. Now that's or symbiote suit Spider-Man. That
There
I
you
feel
go.
like is a better term, but yeah, that's the only track I can remember. So really, if it doesn't have a lasting impact on me, then yeah, it's not as great as the originals. I can remember all the tracks from Spider-Man 1 and 2, even some of the other ones, but only had one good track, and that's not good enough.
So I'm gonna say this right now. The fact that you would even compare Danny Elfman's score of the first 2 films to Christopher Young's score of the third film is really, really sad. Because you're comparing the man who composed fucking Batman and what else did he? Nightmare Before Christmas and all that sort of shit to the idiot who did Hellraiser and Species and Drag Me to Hell and Pet Cemetery. To be frank with you, that's kind of sacrilegious, and I think Andrew would agree because he, is a musician. But yeah, no, it's very generic. I completely agree. The one theme where he becomes symbiote Spider-Man, great. Everything else, couldn't remember if I tried.
All right. And that is time. So now we're going to go on to the pro Spider-Man 3ers. You can begin when you start speaking.
All right, so this is the best Spider-Man soundtrack, period. Excuse me, Christopher Young is unrepresented, okay? He takes Danny Elfman's original score and he ramps it up to 11. See, the score plays a lot with various, like, leitmotifs. What?
Hold on a minute. You can continue. I'm be back in a second.
Okay, so the score plays with a lot of different leitmotifs, and it emphasizes certain characters' like actions. Spider-Man's theme is like not overly played like it is in previous film, and it's used sparingly here. When it's used for the first time after he's gone for most of the movie, I mean, after the red-suited Spider-Man. When he comes back with the red suit and the theme comes back, it's truly like a badass moment. And plus, there are just so many other great moments, like Sandman's piano theme when he becomes Sand, the horror-esque operatic feel of Venom, the somewhat, I don't want to say jazzy, but like intense music when Harry and like Peter are doing their like bare knuckle fight. There's like a lot of detail and care put into the soundtrack. I mean, unmemorable is a word that I would not associate with this.
Oh yeah, no, the music is absolutely amazing in this Spider-Man. Not to mention that it's the first trilogy of Spider-Man created majorly and good. So of course the Spider-Man theme is there, and it's like how the hell do you forget that? But not to mention the Spider-Man walk. Are you kidding me? Evil Peter just going down the street, come on, doing the finger guns at people. I mean, are you kidding me? It's I don't know about you, but I enjoy the music more than I thought I would have. And I don't even know how to make music, so yeah. That's all I got.
14 seconds left. Anything?
Sandman's theme is really good. All right, watch that scene. It's amazing. The piano is. Oh fuck!
And time.
The fact that you had to bring in the goddamn James Brown song they play in it kind of shows that there's not a lot memorable about it.
Whoa,
And I think that. Okay, right. Hey, Donald Trump.
Whoa.
Shut
the fuck up.
Well, okay, I'm sorry.
Okay.
We're
Anyways,
gonna get political.
yeah, I don't even think that counts for music. I think that's more meme factor. So I think they should be disqualified just on that.
Hey.
What are you talking about,
Andrew,
me?
he's telling us to
can change
he's telling
any
you
song.
to disqualify us. He's rigging the game.
Yeah. Okay. On a serious note, yes, the Sandman theme is very good, but two good songs do not make a good score. I can tell you right now, I remember the theme song of The Amazing Spider-Man 2, yet every time I'm thinking about that score, not only do I not remember it, but then I go to remember it, and then I'm like, oh, cool, this sucks ass. Having two good songs does not make a good score. That's all I'm saying. And no, Spider-Man's theme in the movie is not very good. It's very, very plunky and generic, and it kind of sounds like ass.
Whoa, but it was played by like a high school marching band.
Your mom was played by a high school marching band.
That's very true.
Wow.
God damn.
I don't have any more rebuttals besides the soundtrack is not that.
Well, compare that to Spider-Man 2 and the raindrops keep falling on my head, you know?
That's meme factor too, you fuck
Bro,
nut.
And that
part
actually
of the
sounds good.
soundtrack.
I have that on my playlist.
It's the
Yeah, and-
official
Why do you
Yeah,
keep
and that's a good
branching
song.
it to other films?
You watch You ever watch Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid? It's in there too.
Okay,
and that movie won Best Picture.
Let me make one more rebuttal. So, I mean, a lot of people will be like, this is not meme factor. Just, why is the James Brown song in it? It's basically like the equivalent moment of, like, Peter's montage from Spider-Man 2, where he does, like, the raindrops keep falling on my head bit. And it's basically like the same thing. They're both, like, montage music. But the fact is that the James Brown song, I'm just going to call it Drive That Funky Soul because we keep misnaming it, like, fits more and creates more of, like, a comedic, an intentionally comedic tone. That montage in Spider-Man 2 was unintentionally funny because of
Nope.
how
Rebuttal.
that music did not fit.
Rebuttal.
Oh, God.
He added that music in to be funny. He had an orchestration at first, but then they added that in as a joke during the editing process, and Sam Raimi was like, keep it in. It's funny. So, fuck you.
Wait a minute. I thought they were trying to go for this serious tone, though. Why would they make it intentionally funny?
No! You can't look at that scene and think it's serious.
But you don't know that.
I do. They said it. They talk about it in the commentary.
I want sources.
Well, it's not super serious, but it's like, it's supposed to be lighthearted, but it comes off as, like, too goofy.
You know what, Brian?
Oh, God. Andrew, who won? Before this turns into just
this
us,
is,
like,
this is
insulting
very
each
close.
other.
This is very, very close. But due to the idea of Brian mentioning the leitmotifs and certain other aspects that I can't remember, I'm going to have to give it up to Brian and Alex.
Woo!
Okay, good.
We're tied now, brother.
Oh, shit. This is the ultimate moment.
So next we're going to do the overall meme quality of the film. This is the last segment. Alright, you may begin.
Okay, while Spider-Man 1 and 2 are filled with so many fresh memes, such as just Green Goblin and, Pizza Time, Spider-Man 3 has one defining aspect. Emo Peter. His dance through New York, his quotes, his obsession with cookies and milk, whatever. This man is Spider-Man 3, okay? I looked up a scene last weekend from the most recent Spider-Man film, Far From Home. This is a bit off topic, but where the new Peter Parker cries at the loss of Iron Man. And just as I thought, I saw a comment in the comment section below that said, "Look at little Iron Boy Jr." That is an Emo Peter reference. Even in 2019, people are still quoting Emo Peter's brilliant campiness, and they still quote the meme to this very day. Emo Peter isn't just so bad that he's, funny, but he's intentionally that way in the film. So it works as both a meme that we can laugh at, and it makes sense within the context of the film. Therefore, a very good meme. And Emo Peter is very strong in that regard. Alex.
And just branching off into another different meme, are you kidding me? With Where's My Rent Guy? How can you forget Mr. Dickovich? Are you kidding me? He just goes around asking for rent. Well, Peter paid his damn rent. It's like, hey, you got my rent? Pay your rent.
You'll get your
And then,
rent
of course,
you
when
fix
Emo
this
Peter
damn
starts, he asks, like, where's my rent? And then he says, oh, you'll get your rent when you fix this damn door.
Brilliant.
There's so many applications to memes changing the face. Like, it's amazing, truly. Brian, anything else?
Well, I mean, you got so much with Emo Peter. I'm gonna put some dirt in your eye. You want forgiveness? Get religion. Like, God,
Oh,
guys,
yeah,
you can't
with,
compete
what's
with
his
Emo
name?
Peter. All right, he in of itself, he could just be a whole movie, and I would just love it. You know.
I mean, it is. It's Spider-Man 3.
Well, I know, but it's more just like, man, shut up.
So now we're going to go on to the ante. You may begin.
I should definitely know what I'm talking about because my Instagram picture is a picture of Tobey Maguire from these movies. But it's not the third one, it's the crying scene from number 1. And along with that, there are multiple other memes from the first 2 films that I'd say kind of makes up for the fact of whatever memes you talked about. I'd say there's a ton from the first 2, more than the third one, including, but not limited to, I have nothing left except Spider-Man. You know, I'm something of a scientist myself. Don't be ashamed of who you are. Rent, which of course was in the second film as well. Eat your green vegetables. Go Spidey go. Who wouldn't? That's a cute outfit. Did your husband get it for you? Jameson, you slime. Hold on. I have a whole list. The power of the sun in the palm of my hand. Ladies and gentlemen, fasten your seatbelts. Brilliant but lazy. I cried like a baby when you played Cinderella. I hunch. Cool car. And that's just to name a few.
And also, like, you guys mentioned Emo Peter, and that's just one aspect. That's just one part of the memes about Spider-Man 3. What were we joking about earlier in the podcast? Whoever's editing us, go back real quick. Oh, yeah, we were joking about Bonesaw. That's right. We were joking about Bonesaw. That has to mean something.
All right, if you guys are done, then is there any rebuttal?
Yes, there are so many rebuttals, let me tell you. Even it not just Emo Peter is, like, the best meme. I mean, you also have, like, Spider-Man beforehand. He's like, it's me, Peter Parker, your friendly neighborhood, you know. And other stuff like, you know, when he's like, I'm the sheriff around these parts, to Sandman. Like, it's so good. Or the bop on my head, I'm as free as a bird. And that whole sequence of Harry just hitting his head and falling in the alleyway, I mean, it's probably a terrible accident, and if it happened to me in real life, I would be dead. But, like, just the execution of that is, like, so memey and used in so many iconic YouTube poops, such as Penis Parker gets a cookie, that... I fucking hate this debate. That it's like, it's not just Emo Peter. Like, the whole film has just so many fresh, dank, memey goodness. I mean, you have... Yeah, go ahead, Alex.
I mean, you can remember the pie scene with Harry. This pie tastes so good.
So good.
And then the truck goes across the window, and he quickly ducks underneath the table.
Does anybody remember Movie Busters? The butter.
Don't you? I'm leaving.
When's it coming back?
But no, but the butter scene.
Is this the
butter
is this
scene?
the
Okay,
eggs? The
butter
the
scene.
butter scene?
That in of itself
The
has
butter.
been turned
Literally
into a
state.
meme. I've never made a video about Spider-Man 1 or 2. 3 has the best memes.
Okay, I have 2 rebuttals. 2 parts of a rebuttal. 1, Peter the Park Ranger is a better YouTube poop, and that's about Spider-Man 2. And second of all, I forgot to mention, fucking Pizza Time. That alone encompasses the entire series. That is the blanket meme of the entire series. You mention Pizza Time, people are going to piss shit and cum their pants all at once and freak the fuck out because it's fucking Pizza Time. It's not only the line either, it's the goddamn song from the Spider-Man 2 video game, which is an infinitely better video game than the Spider-Man 3 video game.
But you're getting into video games here. We're
Shut
talking
the
about
fuck up,
movies.
Ryan. I'm not done.
But you are stepping over.
Damn.
And anyways, Pizza Time alone basically means Spider-Man 3 loses. You could just say Pizza Time, and anything else doesn't matter. Pizza Time is the Spider-Man meme. Nothing else comes close. It's always fucking pizza time.
Excuse me, though. Okay, to rebuttal your rebuttal, Emo Peter, every single video, do you know about Toby in the MCU? Literally, most of their videos are about Emo Peter coming through like a portal made by Doctor Strange and doing like the Spider-Man dance. It's brilliant. Excuse me, is there a Pizza Time reference in Into the Spider-Verse? I didn't think so.
I think there is.
Shit. Well, they do the Spider-Man dance. The Spider-Man 3
They do
dance.
the Emo Peter dance. And what does Peter Parker do? He only eats pizza. That's it.
Boom.
They do reference it in the video game, the PS4 game. So
We're not talking about video games.
This ain't no video game.
If you look at the
This is a
question in the
movie.
thorough print, we are comparing it to memes of other films.
The only rebuttal I have is in sheer quantity. The other Spider-Man films just have Spider-Man 3 beat. That's a good chunk of the memes that you actually mentioned, Brian. Before I actually had no idea what you were talking about. I'd never seen some of them before. Oh no, look at my Instagram account. Look at how many meme accounts I might even follow a Toby one.
So I've two questions. Is Pizza Time exclusively in Spider-Man 1 and 2? Are there any references?
It is only in 2, and the song that they're talking about is from a video game.
Yes, it's just from the video game. All right. And my second question is, which movie is the Peter Parker screaming meme from?
Spider-Man 2. That's when Mary Jane's about to be crushed by a giant wall.
Interesting.
At the very end.
Oh, shit.
Okay.
Hold on, I'll play it.
Oh, he also screams in 3.
Not as good though.
Yeah, do you remember when he went, "Hooray!"
Okay, here we go. Yep. That's Spider-Man 2.
All right. Well, I think you know what's coming.
Shit.
I'm going to have to give it to Patrick and Alex.
Yeah.
That means they won the debate.
Yeah!
Hell yeah.
Eat my dick
Spider-Man
and
3 is
die.
the worst,
Right,
brother.
I love all of you.
In the trilogy. Not of Spider-Man movies, just the trilogy.
Oh no.
Well, yeah, at least we can all agree that The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is the worst
Yeah.
out of all the movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, get out of here.
My dad
Sam.
said he would have walked out of the theater, but wasn't.
I wasted a ton of money on that.
Thank you, everybody, for watching this episode of the One True Podcast. Hope you had a Merry Christmas. If this comes out on Christmas,
It's not.
it's probably not going to.
It's not.
See you same pizza time, same pizza place.
Pizza time.